There has been a sharp rise in trust in the media, specifically from Democrats, according to a recent Gallup poll. A 21% increase from last year. Why might this be, you may be asking yourself? Well, people like to hear what they want to hear, and in a general sense, they tend to trust things that they hear if it matches with the outcome that they would prefer to hear. This is surprising to many, especially those who have been paying attention to all of the lies and fake news that have been spreading over the past year. The public sphere has been flooded with information and misinformation, which has made determining truth a bit of a muddy and mundane affair. For some, it leads to them questioning more than they need to, and perhaps falling into paranoia. Republicans have stayed the same, at a 14% level of trust, percentage-wise, while 72% of Democrats trust the media. This is a 21% rise from the previous year. Independents are sitting at 37%, a 7% increase since last year. This explains to me the strange increase of influence that the media has had over people's outrage since Trump was elected. Certainly, the media didn't get more ethical and trustworthy over the course of last year's election, as we have had shining gems like this one to remind us that the people claiming to be news are actually propagandists. Passing it over to Chris Chomo, who has more about the full story. Chris?
Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
That's right, Chris. Don't allow these peasants to do their own research, as these documents are only accessible to be viewed by those approved by the Ministry of Truth.
Okay, so the Reddit user behind the Trump CNN body slam video is apologizing, and not just for the video. There was offensive content in this man's kind of whatever.
Offensive content, because you see, guys, somebody posting offensive content gives CNN a mandate to thought police and blackmail a private citizen. Well, back to you in the studio, Chris. Why don't you tell these folks why blackmailing this private citizen was a just duty?
CNN is not identifying this man.
Right.
Why? Because in part he apologized.
Yes.
He said that this was a mistake. Not this video all by itself.
No.
What do we know about what this man was doing?
Okay, well, all joking aside, that's just one instance, maybe two instances of the media being absolutely full of it. But they're out there in full YouTube compilation mode. You feel free to type in the media lies and you will find quite a lot of material.
We have been attacked. We are at war. We need our president to speak directly to us and tell us the truth. We need him to sit behind the desk in the Oval Office and say, my fellow Americans, during this past election, we came under attack by the Russian government.
We are at war with Russia. Or perhaps more correctly, we have lost a war with Russia without a battle. We are no longer a sovereign nation. We are no longer a democracy. We are no longer a free people. We are the victims of a bloodless coup. So far, a bloodless coup engineered by Russia with, at best, the traitorous indifference of the Republican Party and Donald John Trump. In 5 weeks' time, unless desperate measures are taken, we will hand over the government to a man who lost the popular vote by more than Woodrow Wilson or Jimmy Carter won it. A man whom the Russians wanted to run our country for them, a man whom the Russians got to run our country for them, a man for whom the Russians interfered with our elections, which if we did it to another country would be described as an act of war. Some experts, John Kasich's strategist, John Weaver for one, have compared this to Pearl Harbor.
Well, Keith Olbermann told us, we already lost this war, a bloodless coup. We're no longer a free people, we're no longer a democracy, right? But I remember very clearly a year ago, Obama went on national television and said there's no way to rig an election. Hillary Clinton said the same thing, until she lost, and then the story changed. It's a bit suspicious, I think, especially considering CrowdStrike, whose founder is affiliated with some very anti-Russian groups, CrowdStrike is one of the primary sources cited by the so-called 17 intelligence agencies that have declared that Russia hacked our election. Now, aside from the fact that it probably didn't happen, there has also been a story by, I forget who, but Mark Zuckerberg came out and said, we found that the Russians bought like 5,000 ads. It was something like $100,000 worth of ad space, and that was the reason Hillary lost. And that they're going to look into it, and they're going to work directly with the government to keep fake news and fake ads from Russia out of the way. Well, considering the CIA interferes with elections globally every year, and they have been for pretty much 100 years now. They've been around for a very long time. They manipulate democracies and elections all over the world in order to pursue their own dominance. They say it's in America's best interest, but I'm beginning to wonder about that. It's almost as if these Asians and espionage artists are beginning to come up with their own agenda. But I digress. The point I'm originally trying to make is that elections have been attempted to be tampered with probably for as long as there has been elections. Now, James O'Keefe has footage of people who are leftist protesters proclaiming all of their tactics that they use to cheat in the election. Of course, none of that has been investigated, even though the evidence is right there. Judicial Watch has claimed that there are, I believe it's 13 counties, it might be, give or take 1 or 2 counties, had more people who voted than registered voters in that county, which essentially means that there was definitely some illegal activity going on. I think it is not just foolish, but damn near suicidal to incite so much hysteria towards a country that we have such a rocky history with, especially considering where everything is going with North Korea right now. We could use all of the allies we could get. If we don't have substantial evidence that a country interfered with our election, and I'm not talking about a couple of ads on Facebook, I mean full-on Manchurian Candidate level infiltration. If we don't have proof of that type of stuff happening, we can't be making claims like this. It would be like calling a man a pedophile in broad daylight and then having no evidence for it. You would look, I don't know, a bit like an idiot. Let me know what you guys think about this increase in trust in the media in the comments below, and you can find a link to the Gallup poll itself in the description. So yeah, you all have a lovely Monday morning and afternoon, and I will see you all later.